Hello all, this is Ann Y. You're listening or watching to the Bible reading series. If you have not watched the first video, please do so for at least the disclaimer. And I'm going to add another disclaimer at this moment again, I'm sure people aren't going to, not all people are going to watch it, but it's come to my attention that there are those that see what I do as disrespectful, and that is not my intent. So I just want to simply say that this is an explorative thing. I myself do not, how do I put this? I'm not Jewish, so I don't abide by certain rule sets, but that does not mean that I don't respect them. As a Christian, I believe that I am a limb from the branch of Judaism or that faith. So I just want to simply say or reiterate, I don't do this for disrespect. And I hope that that is understood. This is an explorative thing for myself and hopefully for others who aren't familiar with the rabbinical words and how they're read. So anyways, moving forward, King James Version, Matthew 6:9 through 13 will open up with the Lord's Prayer. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us of our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Today's reading is Genesis 25, King James Version. Header is Abraham's death. There are a couple names, and hopefully I don't butcher these too bad. Then again, Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah. And she bare him Zimran, Yokshan, and Midan, and Midian, and Yishbak, and Shua. And Yokshan begat Sheba and Dedan. And the sons of Dedan were Ashurim, and Letushim, and Leumim. And the sons of Midian, and Ephah, and Epher, and Hanach, and Abida, and Eldaah. All these were the children of Keturah. And Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac. But unto the sons of the concubines, which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts, and sent them away from Yitzhak his son, while he yet lived, eastward unto the east country. And these are the days of the years of Abraham, the life which he lived, 103 years. Then Abraham gave up the ghost and died in good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people. And his sons Yitzhak and Yishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar, the Hittite, which is before Mamre. The field which Abraham purchased the sons of Keth, there was Abraham buried, and Sarah his wife. And it came to pass after the death of Abraham that God blessed his son Yitzhak, and Yitzhak dwelt by the well, Ba'a Lahai Roi. My apologies. Descendants of Yishmael. Now these are the generations of Yishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's handmaid, bare unto Abraham. And these are the names of the sons of Yishmael, by their names according to their generations. The firstborn of Yishmael was Nebaioth, and Kedar, and Adbeel, and Mibsam, and Mishma, and Duma, and Massa, Hadar, Tema, Yetur, Nephish, and Kedema. These are the sons of Yishmael, and these are their names, by their towns and by their castles, 12 princes according to their nations. And these are the years of the life of Yishmael, 137 years. He gave up the ghost and died, and was gathered unto his people. And they dwelt from Havilah unto Shur, that is before Egypt, as thou goest toward Assyria. and he died in the presence of all his brethren. Yitzhak's sons. And these are the generations of Yitzhak, Abraham's son. Abraham begat Yitzhak. And Yitzhak was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Paddan Aram, the sister to Laban, the Syrian. And Yitzhak entreated the Lord for his wife because he was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him, and Ribekah, his wife, conceived. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red, all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and in his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Yitzhak was 80 years old when she bare them. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. And Yitzhak loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. And Jacob sawed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. Esau said to Jacob, Feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore is his name called Edom. And Jacob said, Sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, Behold, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? And Jacob said, Swear to me this day. And he sware unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils. And he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. That ends or concludes the reading portion. Apologies for the phonetics, the bumbling of phonetics, and the one misstatement of him instead of her. I wrote up, I don't know how valuable this is, but I kind of wanted to see what each one of these individuals' names meant and how to pronounce them. And I'm trying my best to pronounce these the best that I can in the traditional. I'm probably butchering them, and I will be corrected most likely. But here's the name and the phonetic. Yoksham, snarer. We have Shuach, which is wealth. And each one is referring to something. For instance, so we'll go down. Lahai, Roi, actually starts with a Beir, which is the place or location, I guess would be a way to say that. And Well of the Living One, Seeing Me. If we remember, this area that this is going on, if I'm not mistaken, is the area in chapter 12, I believe, when we see Hagar and the fact that the Lord sees her in her anguish, and the fact that Ishmael was about to perish. So this is the location where we're at. Abraham, it used to be Abram, but with the addition of the middle letter here, became father of multitudes, or chief of multitudes. Keturah, his wife now, if I understand the writings correctly, is actually Hagar. I'm not sure why it goes from saying Keturah and Hagar down here, but assumably, if I'm understanding this correctly, that is actually Hagar. He wedded Hagar after Sarah passed away. And you'll see this in commentary here, but we'll move forward here. So Zimran is a musician, Yokshan, snarer, Medan is contention, Midian is strife. Yishbak, he releases, and Shuach is wealth. And these are the children between Abraham and Keturah, not to include Ishmael. Then it goes on to describe Yokshan, which is second-born, technically third-born to Hagar after the second-born after the marriage, third-born in proper sequence. But he has two children, Shebal and Dedan, which is Shebal is 7 or an oath, and Dedan is low country. And then it proceeds from Yokshan's child, Dedan, doesn't have Sheba, which is interesting in my opinion, but Ashuri is this, and it's guided or blessed, Letushim, which is hammered, and then Leumim, which is peoples. Then it switches back to one of the grandchildren of Abraham, and it's Midian, which has 5 children: Ephah, which is gloomy; Epher, which is a calf; Chanok, which is dedicated, which is also another name for Enoch in our reading. So this name is technically Enoch. Chanok, which is that. Anyways, Abidah. It's not Enoch like you're thinking, but it is the same name. So not the same person, same name. Abidah, my father knows, and then El-Da'al, which is God has known. Now we get into the location, Havilah, which is a circle in Shur. So these are the two, it's in between these two places that they are. And Ishmael is God will hear, and that was when Hagar was in the wilderness, and she names him Ishmael. And Nabaioth, which is heights. So these are the children of Ishmael, is Nabaioth, which is heights; Kedar, which is dark; Adbeel, Adbaal, which is chastened of God; Midsam, which is sweet odor; Mishma, a hearing; Duma is silence; Massa, burden; Chedad, which is mighty; Tema, which is desert; Yitur, which is enclosed; Naphish, which is refreshment; and Kadmal, which is original, which, interestingly enough, is his last child. Now, love you too, hon. Now we get to Yitzhak, the second child of Abraham. And Yitzhak means he laughs. That's the proper. Now, this is something interesting that I didn't even know. Syrian, this word Syrian here is actually Aramean. If you see that word, they are synonymous with each other. I didn't see it as I scrolled quickly, but we'll get to that here in a second. So Arami. So when you see, I paused there in the reading because I was trying to remember this. It's hard to learn all these names phonetically in less than a day or so, but I'm trying to do my best. That means exalted. So Rebecca is born to Bethuel, which she and her brother Laban, which is white, they are Arameans, or Arami, which is exalted in this. It means that, but that's their area. Padon Aram, which is field exalted. We'll get to that in a second, but this actually means the combination, because it apparently has 2 areas. Anyways, we'll get to that in a second, but Rebekah, which is ensnarer, which is the wife of Yitzhak, they have 2 children, Esav, which is hairy, and Jacob, which is heel holder or supplanter. And finally, Esav becomes Edom, which is red. Yeah, that was a lot of work to kind of put that all together. Time wise, I'm not sure exactly how much help it is for me, but I did know I did learn a few things during the process, so I guess it was worth it. And so I apologize once again, even though I just read that, and I will try to remember how to pronounce those. I'm probably going to mispronounce them again, and I'm still probably doing so even with the phonetics in front of me. So moving forward, we'll get to the commentary here of the rabbi. So here in the beginning, it has the commentary. Keturah this is Hagar according to the rabbinical or the Rabbah 61:4. She was called Keturah because her deeds were as beautiful as incense, and because she tied her opening, for she was not intimate with any man from the day she separated from Abraham. So the reading here, at least, is that this individual is technically Hagar, through what happened with Sarai and him previously, her giving her handmaid to Abraham for having a child. But we see that Abraham does not go for anybody else, and so does Hagar. She remains faithful to Abraham even until Sarah passes away. This is important. I think, personally, because a lot of the times we're going to get to the word concubine, and it says concubines in the King James. Yep, right here, and it technically means singular. He did not have multiple concubines. He only had Hagar, and Hagar was a handmaid given by the Egyptians. Technically, the princess of Pharaoh, or the daughter of Pharaoh, if you want to go by this, and then therefore, in the barrenness of Sarai at that time, she said, "Well, if we're promised this, then," and it was lawful at the time under. I'm trying to remember his name. There's a code that was written at that time. It was lawful under that. It will come to me here momentarily. That if a woman who cannot have a child and has a handmaid, they can technically have the child through the handmaid. But we see here, Abraham still loved Hagar, and she did the same. So it wasn't like this forced relationship or anything. Anyways, moving forward, we'll get to Yokshan and his children, Ashurim and Letushim, the names of the heads of nations, but I cannot reconcile the translation. So the rabbi is essentially saying that Onkelos, one of the translators, or he's a French individual that wrote a lot of this, had an aleph, which is it's a letter. It's a Hebrew letter. We do not have words that do not commence with an aleph, yet are prefixed with an aleph. So goes into just trying to these names have letters in them that he can't really rectify here, if I'm understanding that correctly. And Letushim, they are tent dwellers who spread hither and thither and travel each in his palatial tents. So, and Scripture says in 1 Samuel 30:16, and behold, they are scattered over the entire earth, for Lamd and Nun are interchangeable. I would assume that they are tent dwellers. So just to understand what they are, I assume this is also trying to figure out this earlier text here concerning Onkelos and the rabbi here, is that they're trying to figure out what they do, similar to Letushim as tent dwellers. Abraham gave all that he possessed to Yitzhak. It's hard to see that and then phonetically change. Abraham gave, so Nehemiah said, he gave him a permanent blessing for the Holy One. Blessed be he, had said to Abraham above in 12:2, and you shall be a blessing. i.e. the blessings are delivered into your hand to bless whom you wish, and Abraham gave them over to Yitzhak. Right. There may be a spiritual blessing here, but for me, I can only see the literal, so he's just giving over the possessions that he owns before he passes to Yitzhak as his heritage, or his blessing. So then we move on. And to the sons of Abraham's concubines, Abraham gave gifts, and he sent them away from his son Yitzhak while he, Abraham, was still alive, eastward to the land of East. This word is spelled defectively, missing the letter Yud, because there was only one concubine, that was Hagar, who was identical with Keturah. The Yud denoting the plural is absent, hence Rashi understands that the word here denotes the singular. In our Torah scrolls, the plain spelling appears. Wives are those who have marriage contract, whereas concubines have no marriage contract, as explained in the Sanhedrin regarding David's wives and concubines. If I am understanding that correctly, and I think that this is a translational problem, that we read this as sons of Abraham's concubines. I probably lean towards the concept that Abraham, this is referring to the sons of Hagar. Anyways, Abraham gave gifts. One sage has explained that he gave them the name of impurity. Another explanation, all that was given to him because of Sarah, and the other gifts that were given to him, all these he gave to them, for he did not wish to benefit from them. I mean, he's coming to the latter part of his life. He's transitioning into an old man, and he knows his days are numbered. And he gives up the ghost here, but at the same time, this is the blessing that he can bequeath onto Yitzhak, but also the children that he has. And these are the days of the years of Abraham's life that he lived, 100 years and 70 years and 5 years. So when it does this 100 years and 70 years and 5 years, it usually has some type of indication, at least to the rabbi, that it means that he was as if he was a certain thing blessed to a certain year and without sin. Maybe. No judgment, but it's hard for me to come to that conclusion with just what I have. I mean, it just seems as if that's his years. But moving forward, Yitzhak and Yishmael, his sons, buried him in the cave of Machpelah and the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar, the Hittite, which faces Mamre. So we remember the story that Abraham buys this plot of land for an exorbitant amount of money, somewhere over $600,000 in our time period, which has this cave, this meaning like double. It means like a double or a two-part cave, essentially, and buries his wife there. And it faces Mamre, the land, but it's also, there was an individual that befriended, apparently, Abraham, and was on good terms. But Yitzhak and Yishmael, from here, we may deduce that Yishmael repented and let Yitzhak go before him, and that is the meaning of a good old age, which is stated regarding Abraham. Sure, I think what it's trying to say here is that this phrasing is meant to say that he saw that his children, his two children, Yitzhak and Yishmael, were in good standing. And so he was able to pass away knowing that they were on good terms, assumably here. Now it came to pass after Abraham's death that God blessed his son Yitzhak, and Yitzhak dwelt near Beer Chai Roi. Now it came to pass after Abraham's death that God blessed. He consoled him with the consolations of the mourners. Another explanation is, even though the Holy One, blessed be He, delivered the blessings to Abraham, he was afraid to bless Yitzhak because he foresaw Esau's emanating from him. So he said, "May the Master of blessings come and bless whomever He pleases." And the Holy One, blessed be He, came and blessed him. So we see Esau, or Esau as we pronounce it, Esau is going to be born by Yitzhak, and this is concerning, apparently. Another moment in which I maybe it's a leap for me to see that. Now it came to pass after Abraham's death that God blessed his son Yitzhak. For me, I'm just seeing that God is faithful in this moment, especially in the place where it is literally named that God hears. He hears those that are mourning. This name, Ba'alachai Roi, well of the living one, seeing me. I guess more appropriate is seeing instead of hearing, but it means the same thing. He sees Yitzhak and he blesses him according to what he says that he's going to do. Maybe a little too literal, or maybe there's something hidden that I'm not seeing, but there's that. And these are the names of the sons of Ishmael by their names according to their births. The firstborn of Ishmael were the following, by their names according to their births, in order of their birth, one after the other. So we can tell in sequence who was born before the other. And that's why I said at the very end, this Kedma means or original, is ironic to me. I just found that funny that the last child was named the original, because in my head I would think that the original is the firstborn, but may the first be last, I guess. And these are the sons of Ishmael, and these are the names in their open cities, in their walled cities, 12 princes to their nations, and their open cities. These are unwalled cities, and the Targum renders this, for they are, meaning open. Open your mouths and sing praises. It's referencing Psalm 98:4, I believe. 98:4. Shout to the Lord, all the earth, open your mouths and sing praises and play music. So it's referencing that open part. Open cities. And these are the years of the life of Ishmael, 100 years and 30 years and 7 years. And these are the years of the life of Ishmael, etc. Said Rabbi Kaya bar Abba, why were Ishmael's years counted? In order to trace through them the years of Jacob. From the years of Ishmael, we learn that Jacob studied in the Academy of Eber for 14 years after he left his father before arriving to Laban. For when Jacob left his father, Ishmael died, as it said below, 28:9, and Esau went to Ishmael, etc., as is delineated at the end, the chapter entitled "The Megillah is Read." One of the reasons why I said what I said at the beginning of this was there's reference of an Academy of Shem. And I didn't notice this one prior to that, but this Academy of Shem and Academy of Eber is within side of the Rabbah, the Rabbah, and apparently it's not a literal academy in my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but one is one where they go and they learn the law of God, and the other one is where they go and worship idols. I haven't been able to figure out exactly which one's which. I I'm not even sure if I have the correct understanding of that, but that's why it's saying Jacob studied in the academy of Eber, and you're like, well, where's that? I've never heard of an academy at that time frame. It's like it's. I think it's less literal and it's a little bit more metaphorical, and whether they studied under God or the law that was passed down from Noah to this time frame. And he expired and died and was gathered to his people. Now, in the King James, I do believe it says that then Abraham gave up the ghost and died in a good old age and an old man and full of years and was gathered to his people. Gave up the ghost is kind of an addition to this, if I'm not mistaken. 7 years and he expired and died. So maybe there's a nuance that allows the translators to put that there. And they dwelt from Havilah to Shur, which borders on Egypt, so we're southwest of the Mesopotamian area there, going towards Ashur. Before all his brothers he dwelt. He dwelt, as in Jude 7:12. Now the Midianites and the Amalekites, all those of the east, dwell in the valley. Here Scripture uses the term falling, whereas above 16:12 it states, and before all his brothers he will dwell. Before Abraham died, he dwelt. So this is just simply saying that this is the location in which Ishmael dwelled, was just above Egypt, until Abraham died. And these are the generations of Yitzhak, the son of Abraham. And then it says, Abraham begot Yitzhak. And these are the generations of Yitzhak, the son of Abraham. Jacob and Esau mentioned in this section. And then this later portion, this secondary portion, apparently, since Scripture wrote Yitzhak, the son of Abraham, it had to say Abraham begot Yitzhak because the scorners of the generation were saying that Sarah had conceived from Abimelech, for she had lived with Abraham for many years and had not conceived from him. What did the Holy One, blessed be he, do? He shaped the features of Yitzhak's face to resemble Abraham's, and everyone attested that Abraham had begotten Yitzhak. This is the meaning of what is written here, Yitzhak, the son of Abraham, because here is the proof that Abraham begot Yitzhak. Yeah, so from the earlier chapters, there was a great sum of money. I think it was 1,000 pieces of silver were handed to Sarah as a covering of the eyes, or a reason for people to turn their eyes from blaming him and saying that, whatever happened with him, that they, did not good things. And this is referencing the fact that the scorners of the generation were saying she bore from Abimelech, staying with Abimelech, which there was a curse that was put on Abimelech's house that stopped them up in many different facets. And that once she left, they were cured of that. Anyways, Yitzhak was 40 years old when he took Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the Arami of Paddan Aram, the sister of Laban the Aramee, to himself for a wife. 40 years old. For when Abraham came from Mount Moriah, he was informed that Rebekah had been born. Yitzhak was then 37 years old. So this is saying that Yitzhak waited to marry Rebekah at an appropriate age. May not be the appropriate age that we consider nowadays. I didn't do the math to figure out what that age was, but it's probably younger than we would agree to. I do know that we'll get to a point where it references what age someone is held personally accountable instead of being held accountable to their parents. The daughter of Bethuel, the Aramee of Paddan Aram, the sister of Laban, was not already written that she was the daughter of Bethuel and the sister of Laban and from Paddan Aram, but this is to tell her praise that she was the daughter of a wicked man and the sister of a wicked man, and her place was inhabited by wicked people, but she did not learn from their deeds. Excuse me. So the character of Rebekah even though her name is Ensnarer, was above her family. Once again, I guess I'll agree to disagree on this, but I can see, I think, how they're coming to this conclusion of Padan Aram, because there were two Arams. Here it is. So Padan, which I have written down here, is a field, and then Aram is exalted. But we have two Arams. Aram Naharaim and Aram Zobah. And it's called Padan, meaning pair, as an expression of pair oxen, which in Aramaic is this. Others interpret Padan Aram as the field of Aram, because in Arabic a field is called a Fadan. So one or the other. I guess not consequential in my opinion, but maybe there's something there. Then Yitzhak. So we have now a scene where we once again, Rebecca is barren. She was born. It references. We'll get to that, I guess. Here we'll just say Yitzhak prayed to the Lord. He prayed much and entreated God with prayer, and then God accepted his prayer. God, allowed himself to be entreated and placated and swayed by him. I say that every expression of that word is an expression of entreaty and increase, and similarly in Ezekiel 8:11, and a thick cloud of incense, meaning the immensity of the ascent of smoke. And so footnote, and you have multiplied your words against me, and so Proverbs 27:6, whereas the kisses of an enemy are burdensome. They seem to be many and are burdensome. Accroissement is an excessive. So sometimes reading these are a bit challenging because it doesn't seem to flow. You have to have a whole lot of other background in some of the sentencing. But what this is attempting to say, in my opinion, is that Yitzhak placated the Lord. This was an effect. The Lord changed his mind to what Yitzhak was praying. I know that might ruffle some feathers, but that's what I'm getting from it. But that's how I'm understanding it. And then the following, opposite his wife, is more in the reference of physical status. So this one, Yitzhak was standing in the corner and praying, and that one, Rebecca, was standing in the corner and praying. So they were just physically facing different corners in the room as they prayed, accepted his prayer, but not hers. For the prayer of a righteous man, the son of a righteous man, does not compare to the prayer of a righteous man, the son of a wicked man. Therefore, he accepted his prayer and not hers. As much as I've read, I'm going to have to agree to disagree on this one. I see what they're saying here, but a man or a woman is not judged by their parent and what their parent's actions are. And whether or not you are born of a wicked man or not, I mean, we all hope that our parents would be, wonderful, but life is challenging, things happen, and we worship a forgiving God. So for me, personally, I see the point that they're trying to make, but I disagree with it. Not to, I think that this sentence is more along the lines of, and he was praying for his wife, and God respected the fact that he, not being his wife, cared for his wife and wished that she would have children. I mean, they're both praying. If this opposite means that they're in the room praying, and he was praying for her, and like it was said before in a previous video, God listens to those who genuinely pray for other people. I ascribe to that concept. I'm not sure I ascribe to this concept that, God listens to those who have righteous parents. Maybe I could be way off. I I could probably be proven wrong. However, for myself, I have a hard time coming to that conclusion. Anyways, moving forward. And the children struggled within her. That's an interesting word, and I will say my thoughts on it, but here we go. Struggled. Perforce, this verse calls for a midrashic interpretation, for it does not explain what the struggling was all about. And the scripture wrote, "If it be so, why am I like this?" Our rabbis and Rabbah 63:6 interpreted the word as an expression of running when she passed by the entrance of the Torah, or academies of Shem and Eber. Jacob would run and struggle to come out, and when she passed the entrance of a temple of idolatry, Esau, Jacob, I'll explain it simply. They believed that when she would walk past a place of honor for the Lord, Jacob would try to struggle to come out. However, when she passed by a temple of idolatry, Esau would try to come out. Another explanation, however, is they were struggling with each other and the quarreling about the inheritance of the two worlds. Not that I don't think that there are miracles and there are odd things that happen. I think it is a little bit more congruent that they were struggling with each other with inside of the womb, maybe trying to find space within the world that they are in, because later on we see that the Lord speaks of two nations that are going to come from this. But if it be so, this statement is, and in her comment to the Lord is, if it be so that the pain of pregnancy is so great. And then she says, why am I like this? Why am I like this? Why did I desire and pray to conceive? So she's regretting the decision of wanting to have children. And she went to inquire to the Academy of Shem. So she inquired of the Lord. This, if I have it correctly on this point, Academy of Shem is in reference to worshiping the Lord. The Academy of Eder or Eber is the one for idolatry. To inquire of the Lord, that he should tell her what would happen to her in the end. So she's coming to the Lord to find out what will happen. She's not asking of anybody else but the Lord. And the Lord said to her, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 kingdoms will separate from your innards, and one kingdom will become mightier than the other kingdom, and the elder will serve the younger. And here is where I tend to lean towards the another explanation. They struggle with each other because of this expression. You will birth 2, and they will become 2 kingdoms, and they will struggle between each other. The end result will be the elder will serve the younger. So the Lord said to her through a message. Shem was told through divine inspiration, and he told it to her. So, in a more literal sense, I guess, Shem is physically teaching individuals, and Shem, the one of Noah's sons, is now having divine inspiration, and he told her this. If you agree with that concept there, 2 nations are in your womb, and these were Antoninus and Rabbi, Judah the prince, from whose tables neither radishes nor lettuce were lacking either in the summer or in the winter. This goes beyond my comprehension, so I'm just going to leave it at that. I did not read into the Avodah Zarah 11a. It just seemed, I'm not even sure what to do with it exactly. But there is this part of exalted persons, and that's about as far as I can get from the radishes and lettuce. And radishes, neither radishes nor lettuce were lacking on their tables. Goes beyond my understanding. And 2 kingdoms just simply means 2 kingdoms will separate from your innards. From the womb they are separated, this one to his wickedness and this one to his innocence. We could read that, yes. Another one is that they are, I guess more literally, if you have two figures within inside of your body, they're going to be struggling to find space. So I guess that's my thought. Maybe a little less on the wickedness and the innocence. That could possibly be true too. Both could be true. I'm just simply saying my opinion. Will become mightier than the other kingdom. They will not be equal in greatness. When one rises, the other will fall. And so Scripture states in Ezekiel 26:2, I shall become full from the destroyed city. Tyre became full, gained power only from the destruction of Jerusalem. So, and one kingdom will become mightier than the other kingdom. I guess this is I couldn't really make heads or tails of it when I read it first time, and I needed to make time. But simply, I guess in my head, the way that they're thinking of this is Esau begets the Romans, and Jacob begets Israel. I laugh in my head because I'm like, there is a large amount of stuff that I would have to tie together for me to understand or agree that Esau begets that. But that's where this statement, Tyre became full, gained power only from the destruction of Jerusalem. So that's why it's connecting Tyre and Jerusalem. Maybe I'm misspeaking here, but that's what I'm getting from it. And her days to give birth were completed, and behold, there were twins in her womb. Here we have another contradiction in the sense of her days to give birth were completed. In the King James, let me find this verse 24. Okay, 24. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, leads us to believe that the children were born not prematurely. However, in this it says, but regarding Tamar, it is written below in 38:27, it came about at the time of her travail, because her term of pregnancy was not fulfilled, for she gave birth to them after 7 months. So this phrasing leads us to believe something that may not actually be true. She may have given birth prematurely, And the concept there, she hadn't fully come to term, would be a better way to put it. Maybe not prematurely, but not fully, in 7 months. Now, I think 7 months, if I remember human behavior or behavioral development and childbirthing, 7 months is short but still decent. But it is there are complications with that. There were twins in her womb, defectively missing an aleph and a yud, but concerning Tamar, it is written with the plain spelling, because they, Perez and Zerah, were both righteous, but here one was righteous and one was wicked. So we see here again, there is, unlike in our English, the aleph and the yud, which are letters, if I understand it correctly, are missing here, meaning that it is not a complete spelling, so therefore it means that one is righteous and one is wicked. I understand, but I slightly have hesitancy to agree. I'll say it that way. The first one emerged ruddy, and I say that not because I'm like any type of professional in this, or that I have any credence to say otherwise. I just simply I have a hard time coming to that conclusion, personally. And the first one emerged ruddy. He was completely like a coat of hair, and they named him Esau. Did I read a lot, and the Rabbah 63 on Esau in his hairy coat. But here it says ruddy, that is a sign that he will be a person who sheds blood. Yeah, so my limit, to be a reductionist here, instead of reading all of the Rabbah for the channel out loud here, there's two conceptions, I guess you could say. One is hairy, and one is more oriented towards bloodshed. he was completely like a coat of hair, full of hair like a woolen cloak, which is full of hair, flechette in Old French. So we have these two comments. One is stating his character of being warlike, and then one that is stating his the hairiness of him. And they named him Esav. They all called him this because he was completely and fully developed with hair like one many years old. That could be true, and I guess more of a practical, in my opinion, would be like just a hairier than usual child. Sometimes you have kids that come out and they're not very hairy, and then there's some that come out much hairier than expected, and that's kind of how I'm interpreting it. And afterwards, his brother emerged, and his hand was grasping Esau's heel. He named him Jacob. Now Yitzhak was 60 years old when she gave birth to them. Afterwards, his brother emerged. I heard a Midrash Agadah that interprets the verse according to its simple meaning. He, Jacob, held on to him lawfully to restrain him. Jacob was formed from the first drop, and Esav from the second. Go forth and learn from a tube that has a narrow opening. Insert 2 stones into it, one after the other. The one that entered first will emerge last, and the one that entered last will emerge first. The result is that Esav was formed last, emerged first, and Jacob was formed first, emerged last. And Jacob came to restrain him so that Jacob, should be the first to be born, as he was the first to be formed, and he would open her womb and take a birthright law. Yeah, so once again, a lot of reading in the Rabbah. This drop here, I'm trying to find it. The first drop is in reference to semen, and so the analogy that's used is if you have a straw and you're able to put stones in the straw, and you put 2 stones in, and you turn the straw downwards. The last one will come out first, and the first one will come out last. So that may answer a little bit of the concept of may the first be last and the last be first, in a very literal sense. So very difficult to even think about that conceptually for true, like, actual birth and how semen will cross the birth canal and everything happens. I mean, it's a miraculous thing in the first place, but that's how they're viewing this. Esau's heel. This is a sign that this one, Esau, will not manage to complete his reign until this one rises up and takes it from him. And he named him Jacob. The Holy One, blessed be he, gave him this name. And he said, you named your firstborn, i.e. this refers to those who name Esau. I too will name my firstborn. This is what is written. And he named him Jacob. Another explanation, his father called him Jacob because of the holding of the heel. Yeah. There was like reference to the fact that, I guess God said that you can call. It had to do with. There was an analogy that was made within the Rabbah about a swine herder and how you can name a child, but I will name this one Jacob. I'm just going to go off the literal understanding for me because it just personally makes more sense. This means heel grabber. I mean, heel holder or supplanter. There's also another piece to this. Esau's heel. Not to get too far into the weeds, but a heel is an interesting piece, and even other mythos have this as a concept, and Achilles comes to mind. The weakest part was his heel. This also references in Genesis, you will crush his head and he will strike your heel. The heel is a very interesting thing. There's also the fact that if you kick something with your toe, and this came from the IsraelBible.com, The article is The Secret Power of the Heel. A very interesting read. I think actually a pretty good read, personally, concerning Deuteronomy 7:12 and Deuteronomy 7:13. And the fact that the heel itself is a concept of living lifelessness. He tells a story of a friend of his going through the Israeli Defense Force, and how one night he came back from a long hike with a lot of weight, very, very tired, goes into the sleeping bag and forgot to say the evening prayers, and had two thoughts in his mind. God will forgive me. No, you need to get up and you need to pray. And this became one of, a very important thing to him or her. I don't even know if it references whether it's a him or her. Doesn't matter. This incident becomes one of the most life-changing events inside of the military experience for that individual. And it's because the heel has a lot of things going on with it. There's the deception and conflict, and this is from thebiblehub.com. There's a literal use. It is the back part of a human's foot. So like when I said the Achilles, the story of Achilles is that he was indestructible except for the Achilles, because he was dipped into this fountain. I believe it was the Fountain of Youth. And the only thing that wasn't able to be dunked into the Fountain of the Youth was his heels. And at one point, the reason why he dies is because his heel is severed. So it's a strong yet weak place on the body. I also find it interesting because the heel is technically where you stand. Physically, if you look at a dog, its paws, its heels they're raised up off the ground, whereas a human's heel is not. You can see this on a deer. You can see this on a horse. You can see it on a lot of different animals. Their toes, or the paw of their feet is touching the ground, the balls of their feet, whereas their heel is raised up off the ground, whereas a human's heel is placed on the ground. It is actually where we stand and we gain, our structure. Yet, once again, in the dream of, I believe, King Nebuchadnezzar in the future, the thing that fails is the feet. It is made out of clay, and the stone crushes the feet. So there's a lot to be gleaned from Esau's heel and the concept that his brother is grabbing a hold of this place. Maybe a weak point of Esau, but the thing that he considers strong, which kind of lends to the final part of this. And I need to get moving forward because it's already getting to an hour on this video, and I apologize. But just some interesting concepts. 60 years old, 10 years since he had married her until she became 13 years old and able to conceive. In the following 10 years, he looked forward and waited for her as his father had done for Sarah since she did not conceive. He knew that she was barren and he prayed for her, but he did not wish to take a maidservant as Abraham had done because he had been hallowed on Mount Moriah to be perfect burnt offering. Lots to say here. One thing that you're probably keyed in on was the 13 years old. In the time frame, 13 was considered when a person, I guess you could call it coming of adulthood, taking on one's own personal responsibilities. We see this as a young age now. We cannot allow ourselves a historian's fallacy and think that now we know what we know about morality. We should look back and then judge others. However, this is rather young, but it is also a time of puberty. So I'm going to leave it there as such, things to contemplate. But I will say this one last thing. It seems as if he waited until that moment, and then he was respectful of that. Let me say it that way. He was respectful of that time period, as if somebody would be respectful of, somebody coming of age in America, even though we have different rule sets, age rule sets. And the youths grew up, and Esau was a man who understood hunting, a man of the field, whereas Jacob was an innocent man dwelling in tents. Oh man, there's a lot to go through with that. Maybe this one's going to go, might be my longest video. And the youths grow up in Esau. As long as they were small, they were not recognizable through their deeds, and no one scrutinized them to determine their characters. As soon as they became 13 years old, this one parted to the house of study, and that one parted to idol worship. Once again, we see here the Academy of Shem versus the Academy of Eber or Ether. This is where we begin to see this 13 years old start popping up. I believe it's when they consider someone responsible for their own actions. As long as this is where I also don't lean into the credence of the concept that one was innocent and one was wicked from birth, because here it even says, as long as they were small, they were not recognizable through their deeds. No one scrutinized them to determine their characters. So you couldn't tell the two apart because they're twins. And they weren't recognizable. They were not recognizable through their deeds. And then it says, and no one scrutinized them to determine their characters. That still doesn't mean that they weren't, recognizable by deed. So you couldn't tell them apart. So there's my partial argument towards the one was wicked and one was innocent. In their own words, who understood hunting? Now here's where we get some very interesting thoughts. Who understood hunting? He knew how to trap and to deceive his father with his mouth and ask him, Father, how do we tithe salt and straw? His father thereby thought he was scrupulous in his observance of the commandments. Man of the field, as its apparent meaning, an idler who hunts beasts and birds with his bow. And then we have an innocent man. He was not an expert in all these matters, like his heart, so was his mouth. A person who is not astute at deceiving is called innocent. All this is very interesting because they're saying that Esau, by saying that he understood hunting, was deceptive. There's another link to a man of the field being intimate with the same sex. This is all in the other reading that I did through the Rabbah. What I'm simply saying is, as the story unfolds, we find that Jacob actually is the one that deceives in place of Esau. So to me, I'm like, you're saying one thing and the other thing is happening. So that's why I have a hard time agreeing with some of it, but moving forward, dwelling in tents, the tent of Shem and the tent of Eber. So once again, we see this. Dwelling in tents means which tent, which learning did they go under? Esau was the one with idols, and Jacob was the one in Shem's tent, learning of the Lord. And Yitzhak loved Esau because his game was in his mouth, but Rebekah loved Jacob. In his mouth, this phrasing, I guess, it means that Esau was good at entrapping his own father in words and deception. Yet, once again, the story unfolds completely opposite to that. So maybe there's something I'm missing that I need to know, but now Jacob cooked a pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. Cooked, an expression of cooking. So here he was cooking food. However, Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And apparently this means he was committing, an atrocity in front of him. In Jeremiah 4:31, for my soul is faint before the murderers. That is possible. I mean, technically he would be, taking care of game in his activity in the fields. If we want to consider it literal, and then, or we could say that he was just faint. He was tired. He was out in the sun all day. And Esau came to Jacob, pour into me some of this red pottage, for I am faint. He therefore he was therefore named Edom. Pour into me, I will open my mouth, and you pour very much into it. As we learned in Shab 155b, we may not stuff a camel, etc., on the Sabbat, but we may put food into its mouth. This is in reference to how law-abiding would go along during the Sabbat. You're not technically supposed to do work on the Sabbat, so by trying to feed the animal, trying to forcibly feed the animal, you would be considered working and therefore sinful. So you may place the food into the camel's mouth, and that is acceptable. Some of this red pottage, red lentils. On that day Abraham died, lest he see Esau, his grandson, falling into bad ways, for that would not be the good old age that the Holy One, blessed be he, had promised him. Therefore the Holy One, blessed be he, shortened his life by 5 years. For Yitzhak lived 180 years, and this one, Abraham, lived 175 years. And Jacob cooked lentils to feed the mourner, Yitzhak. But why lentils? Because they are round as a wheel, for mourning is like a wheel revolving in the world. Mourning, like crying, suffering, mourning, is like a wheel revolving in the world. Also, just as lentils have no mouth, no crack, as other beans have, so does the mourner have no mouth, for he is prohibited from speaking. It is therefore the custom to feed the mourner eggs at the beginning of his meal, since they are round and have no mouth. So too does a mourner have no mouth, as it is discussed in Mud Katan 21b. A mourner for the entire first 3 days may not respond to anyone's greeting, and may surely not initiate a greeting. From the 3rd day to the 7th, he may respond, but may not greet, etc. This is found in an old edition of the Rashi. There's a lot to read into this that I don't think I have the time to, if I'm trying to be respectful. Essentially, the lentil itself is representative of an individual who is mourning. So I guess we could talk strictly about what they would be mourning about. So things to think about. If this is about lentils, and it is, it says lentils down below. But concerning Abraham's, ceasing. So this was done, assumably, in the context of mourning for Abraham and his passing, and so forth. And Jacob said, "Sell me as of this day your birthright." So your birthright conceptually can be two things, I think, if I understood the Rabbah proper. Sell me as of this day, like this day, just as this day is clear, so sell it to me with a clear sale. However, there is reference that this day is speaking of the way that God views a day as 1,000 years. So another thing to think about there is, like, sell me as of this, like, for the rest of my life, your birthright. Your birthright, since the sacrificial service was performed by the firstborn, Jacob said, "This wicked man does not deserve to sacrifice to the Holy One, blessed be he." There's some things about selling the birthright and how performing a service to do so. I'm not sure if I quite follow. Once again, this is coming down to the whole one is wicked, one is innocent concept, I think, and maybe I'm stumbling over this concept and I'm just having a hard time with it. However, Esau replied, "Behold, I'm going to die, so why do I need this birthright?" Esau replied, "Behold, I'm going to die. The birthright is something unstable, for the sacrificial service will not always be the function of the firstborn, for the tribe of Levi will take it. Furthermore, said Esau to Jacob, "What is the nature of this service?" He replied, "There are many prohibitions and punishments and death penalties involved with it. As we learned in Psalm 83a, these are the ones who are liable to death, those performing the temple service who have imbibed wine, and those who have not cut their hair." He, Esau, said, "Behold, I'm going to die because of it," i.e. the birthright. If so, why should I want it? That is, once again, This chapter is packed with a whole lot of interesting concepts and thoughts. So I'm going to try to condense this one. The birthright. Esav is looking at Abraham and saying he was a righteous man and he perished. I am going to die does not mean that he's faint, yes, but I don't know if this is referencing him saying I'm going to die right now. He's simply saying that, like, in the future, my father or my Abraham was righteous, and even if I'm righteous, what will befall me? So what is the need of this birthright? Which then leads into the concept of a birthright being something past one passing away, right? So now that we have that little bit of groundwork there that I can do, this whole thing can be read as Jacob is taking something post passing from Esav. It's possible. The other one is that he's saying literally right now, I'm going to pass because I'm under this condition. And so it would be better for me to eat this food than to have my birthright. Because if I pass, I will not have my birthright. So that is another way to perceive this. And Jacob said, swear to me as of this day. So he swore to him, and he sold his birthright to Jacob. Jacob gave Esav bread and pottage of lentils, and he ate and drank and arose and left, and Esav despised the birthright. And Esav despised. Scripture attests to his wickedness that he despised the service of the omnipresent. Now, this may be true. This specifically true. However, I look at it a little bit more in the sense that, say I'm famished. I'm literally about to pass. And the only thing that can save me is giving up this thing that would ensure my future as a person, as a man of this time. I know that my birthright, I am the firstborn, that I am owed something from my father, and therefore my family will be taken care of. But yet I will not see that day if I pass now. So he had to give that up to continue living. However, now that it had happened, it became a curse to him. This concept of the birthright became a curse to him. So now he's if he has a family, what does he have to give them? You know, so he may have been thinking in his mind that it may have been better to pass than to give this thing up. Is another way to read it. So, not saying that it's wrong. I'm just saying that another way to conceptualize that thing. Lots of data, a lot of information here. I could probably spend a whole lot more time, but since I'm already over an hour and a quarter now, I apologize for that amount of time. Hopefully it was good. I hope this blesses you, and thank you so much for listening all the way to the end. And I hope to see you next time.